A topic we're going to be visiting quite often, among many other topics, is what's happening in our education system in public schools, especially under this administration. They've always been bad for the last 15 years in particular. But there is an intentional effort in this administration to transgender our schools all the way down to elementary school, up through high school, college. We were just talking about the sports, but it doesn't stop there. But here's the good news. As a parent and as a student, you have rights. And fortunately, we've got organizations out here that's all they do. They are looking out for your rights, your religious freedoms, which are so critical. That's in the crosshairs of the left. And First Liberty is one of those entities. They're on the program quite a bit because they're out there doing the work. And this is a school in Illinois. It's the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy that had a policy that was forcing kids to go through this sexualization program, is all I can call it. And a student said, Markale McBride said, I can't do it. It violates my faith, my religious beliefs. And they said no. But Markale and her family stood up, and with the help of First Liberty, just today, in fact, just hours ago, got word that the school was in retreat. Joining me now to talk about this, Keisha Russell, Counsel at First Liberty Institute. Keisha, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Congratulations in just sending a letter out stating the facts. You helped this student preserve her religious freedom there in Illinois.
Yeah, it's definitely a great victory, and as a former teacher, I love helping students and standing up for their religious liberty rights. So, we just tried to lay out the law very clearly and succinctly to the school and let them know that not only does Illinois law allow parents to decide the sexual education of their children, meaning they're allowed to opt out of sexual education, but also the Illinois Religious Freedom Restoration Act says that the school has to accommodate the students and her parents. And it's a shame that it had to take lawyers getting involved in order for the school to relent. But, we're certainly grateful that they did, and the students very happy with the accommodation. So, we're grateful.
Well, before we move on to expound upon that aspect of getting the lawyers involved, I want you to go back and just give I know I laid out some of the facts, but if I missed anything, just let our listeners know exactly what took place, what this student was going to be required to do. So
the school had or has a mandatory sexual it's called Sexuality and Gender Program. And there's a lot of, sexual topics involved in that program. And, it was required that the students go through it in November. And in November, the parents at the school, written notice that said, look, we don't feel comfortable with our daughter going through this. We'd like you to exempt her from this program. And, our religious beliefs say that we're supposed to dedicate, bring our own child, and we'd like to be the only ones talking to her about sexuality, et cetera. And the school pushed back, and, after several emails back and forth, the parents really tried to work this out with the school. And ultimately, after months of denial, they ended up turning to First Liberty and saying, look, can you help us? Because now only within the same, few days that they contacted us, the school said, look, we're going to have a disciplinary hearing for Markale, and that hearing was supposed to take place today at 4 p.m. Central. And, they said, look, we don't know what to do now. And so we went ahead and sent the school the letter. And now the disciplinary hearing obviously is canceled for today. So it's a great victory for the student.
But not only for this particular student, Keisha, but by them standing up, by this student and her parents standing up and say, wait a minute, no, we have rights. We're going to exercise those rights. I know that the school wanted to steamroll them, as they often do. But as a result of this, others will benefit, because I think the school will be more sensitive next time that a parent raises objections.
Absolutely. That's definitely our hope. And it's one of the things that we use to encourage the parents and students, because you have to know it's very difficult to, talk about these things publicly, because you never know what kind of backlash you're going to face, or,
right.
A young person like Markale is going to face. And, not only does it encourage the school to take, a closer look at accommodations like this, but it also, I think, gives other parents and students more courage, to stand up to their schools when things like this arise and they, don't want to participate. So, I even told Markel, you standing up for yourself, it makes other students just like you want to do the same. And it's one of the reasons why I absolutely love defending students in religious liberty cases, because it's so important, that they get their voices out there too.
Well, and courage breeds courage. So if the student and her parents have the courage to stand in the face of, especially the cancel culture we live in today, it does encourage others. And that's the whole purpose of the cancel culture, to keep us from standing up and defending those rights. Keisha, thanks so much for joining us. And again, appreciate all the work that First Liberty does.